Hi, it's Tracy from Two Rocks Tarot, and today I'm going to be doing a video response to Nat from Sanskrit Blue. She's got a couple of spreads out. I think she's continuing on with the series of some spreads that are based in Buddhism, because I believe May was the month of the birth of Buddha. And this one is called the Four Noble Truth Spreads, and I'll be using my Housewife's Tarot. I haven't used this one for a while. I'll try and pronounce the spread positions, but I don't think I'm going to be pronouncing them right. So the first one is, I think, is Dukkha. So if I am actually I know I'm pronouncing it wrong, so I might just put position one. So this is suffering. So how does the tendency to experience pain or suffering arise in my life? So let's have a look. Come up straight away. And this is the Five of Wands. I don't know if you can see that. It's a little, I'll try the other side. That's a little bit better. Five of Wands. The lighting is a little bit different. Can you see that? Five of Wands. How does a tendency to experience pain or suffering in my life? So of course you all know that I've been diagnosed with breast cancer back in December last year. I think when you're looking at that, when you get diagnosed with something like cancer, you are bombarded with many different things. From the diagnosis to first finding out that you've got it, then you want to know, you have to find out what stage it's at, where it's spread. Then you're going to have to let your family members know what's going on. And then you see, a surgeon, oncologist, the whole, is so much that goes on. It just doesn't stop once you get the diagnosis. It just keeps on going on. So the Five of Wands actually describes that quite well. And if this is like pain or suffering when it's arising in my life, I think it's just so many things happen at once. And if I look back at my life, if I look back at my first marriage, and my depression and things like that, it feels like that the Five of Wands really sort of describes that quite well, because it feels like everything, you're getting hit at everything at once. You've got people that give you this so-called well-meaning advice, which is just don't do it. If you don't know what someone's going through, don't offer advice. Even when it comes to when your marriage breaks down as well, things like, oh yeah, this happened to me, whatever like that, it doesn't really help. I think you just need someone to be able to vent off at. And the Five of Wands is interesting too, because I don't actually vent off, even when I got this diagnosis. The only time I get quite snappy and angry is after I've had my chemo for the first week, and unfortunately I do take it out on my husband, poor Aaron. I snap at him all the time, and I don't mean to. It's just something that you just can't stop. You're in not really so much the first lot of chemo, or the very first one was, but this more brutal lot of chemo, that the back pain, the first one that I had, was excruciating. It didn't matter what you did, stand up, sit down, bend over, nothing helped it. I was taking a multitude of painkillers, ulcers in my mouth. It was just so many symptoms. So the Five of Wands actually really highlights that quite well. There's so many other things, to the rash that you get, the old chemo rash that you get on there. It's just freaking amazing, all the stuff that you've got to go through. Wow, all the things that happen to you, ulcers in your mouth. Food always tastes like salt to me, so if I have a coffee in the morning, it tastes like salt. It's just so many things. So this really aptly describes it. There's so many different things that happen to you once you have chemo. And this would be for anybody who's going through any type of illness, the symptoms sometimes of the medication that you need to save your life. Because if a healthy person had chemo, it would kill them. So, you need to have something quite toxic in you so you can live. So, and this really describes it well. So not just with my cancer, but when I was going through an abusive marriage, when I finally got a divorce, there's so many things that come at you out of nowhere, and you just don't know what to do. So I think this high, and even with when I suffered very badly from depression, I'm very surprised that it hasn't hit me while I've had cancer. I think I've probably been down maybe 2 or 3 times, but I haven't got depressed. So, you know, everything just sort of hits you. So I think this describes it well, how I actually experience it, and I fend it off. And I like the way, you know, got the feather dusters where she's trying to stop all, you know, everything hitting her at once. And I tend to do that. I retreat into myself. I don't get counselling. I can't tell you how many times the doctors keep saying, do I need counselling? I don't need it. I don't need it. I've got all you guys out there that have given me so much support. But I, you know, my husband's been my rock. I've never been like that. Even at my most depressed, I've never gone to counselling. I've never had it. I just withdraw into myself. Things keep flying at me just like this, and I manage to deflect it and absorb it and go from there, sort of thing. So I'll leave it at that one because it's a little bit kind of weird to explain. So the second one is Samudaya, and I'm sure this is not going to, I'm pronouncing these terribly wrong. This is the origin of suffering. What is the origin of my pain or suffering? And one just flopped right out on my keyboard. Oh, this is interesting. I think I have to hold it on this. Can you see that? The Four of Cups. It's a little bit... Try that way again. I think that's better. Yeah, the Four of Cups. The origin. Well, we know that the Four of Cups is usually pertains to boredom, doesn't it? And then something gets offered to you. But how I'm taking it is that because I kept everything inside, all the things that were never spoke to anybody, just kept everything inside me. I think that's why I got the cancer in the first place. And it's interesting, was my left breast. It's where your heart is. I've kept everything inside me. I never ever talked about what I was going through at all. People guessed, of course, you know. When you go down to 40 kilos, people know that there's something going on in your life, don't they? But I never ever, I think just like how that glass is completely full, I kept it all within me, and all that angst and all that suffering had to go somewhere, didn't it? And where did it go? It turned into a cancer in my left breast where the heart is, and I didn't let it out. I always kept my mouth shut, and I think that is why I got, and actually I don't even think, I know, and that is the origin of my pain. This is the origin of my cancer, because I kept it all in. I kept it all in, and I didn't let it out. And I should have spoke up for myself more. I should have perhaps got counselling, but you know, back then I couldn't afford it anyway. That I wouldn't have been able to do it. Yeah, and I think that's what it was. And it wasn't because I was lethargic. It wasn't because I was lazy. It wasn't because I was tired. I just kept it all in. It literally, like the 3 empty glasses, and it just built up and built up and built up. And funny enough, I think when you have the nuclear medicine put in you, I think the cancer does look red. I don't know if it's red or blue. I'm not too sure now. But it's interesting. Even the border is blue. That's the colour of the dye they put in your body to make sure it hasn't spread anywhere else. But I think this is the origin of. I just kept things in too much. And I should have let it out, and I think that's why I got sick, why I got what I got. Even though the last 17 years I've been deliriously happy. Apparently with breast cancer, or I don't know if it's with all cancers, but it can take up to 10 years to show up. So just, yeah, did you hear that? 10 years before it'll actually show up as a cancer in your breast. That's how long it can take before it shows up. So, and that would make sense. I've been married to Aaron for 17 years, and I've been really, really happy. But I had 20 years of an abusive marriage before that, and a lot of depression before that, since I was actually, I can remember being depressed when I was in kindergarten. So, you know, that's a lot of pain that I withheld in my body. It had to come out somehow, didn't it? And that's how it came out. Interesting, isn't it? Position 3 is, oh my God, Nirodha or whatever. This is the cessation of suffering. This is how it will look when this pain or suffering ceases within me. No. It's a good card to have. Oh, jeez, I just dropped it. No. Strength. This is a cessation of suffering. This is how it will look when this pain or suffering ceases within me. Of course, I'm going to be stronger. I'm a lot stronger than I even thought I was dealing with. I keep. So many people tell me, you're so strong, you're so strong. When I had to ring my daughter in England and let her know what was going on with me. And she comes back Friday, about 2 weeks of, she has to be in quarantine before I actually see her. But she said to me, what got me through when I told her this is, she said, I had a bit of a cry, Mum, when we hung up. But I know that if anyone is strong enough to get through it, it's you. And it looks like this card kind of confirms it. But I never really thought that I was strong. I never thought I was strong, really. I mean, when I got that, I mean, I was, I'm not going to lie, I was shit scared when I was waiting to see if I had cancer, the waiting for the diagnosis. But once I got diagnosed, it was like, the fear went away. The fear went away. And I thought, well, what do I have to do? What's the next step to get better? So it looks like that I'm a lot stronger than I think. And I just want to turn around. So this actually says scrubber soap pads. And it looks, and so when I'm over with, it looks like that I'm going to be even stronger again. I'm just going to keep on getting stronger, because when I actually finish, because you can probably see I've got a bit of a moon pie face. My hair's starting to grow back and everything like that. But that is from the chemo. I'm pretty lucky. My weight's hovering around at the same. But once I finish my chemo, I've got a 3-week break, and then I've got a month of radiotherapy. But they've also offered me a free program where you have a specifically trained a trainer who will. It's like a gym. I can't remember what the proper word is now, but it's a gym, but it's just designed for cancer patients, because you can't go to a normal gym. I have to be careful how I, exercise, because when you have a mastectomy, it takes about 12 months before you're completely healed. Okay, so you have to have, there's exercises that are specifically designed for people with cancer, because it's been proven that if you It's like about a 90% increase of being well by exercising. Do you know what I'm saying? So once I start my radiotherapy, I'll be starting an exercise regime, and then I'm hoping I can lose more weight, because I was actually trying to lose weight before I got sick, and I was successful. I managed to lose some, but then it's more important for me to actually have a bit of weight behind me when you have got cancer, because a lot of people can't eat at all. They get very, very thin and very frail looking, and whereas I've kind of stayed the same, which is good. That's and I just eat what I like. Whatever my body feels like, I eat it, even if it's just donuts, because you have to eat something. Okay, but what I try to put in is everything healthy. But it's hard when everything you eat and drink tastes like salt, believe me. So the cessation of suffering is that I'm going to be even stronger, and I will be building up my strength, because I'll be doing these exercises to improve my chances of longevity, and to hopefully, both my parents are 90. I want to at least live longer than 90, to at least learn to live to 100. So this is a really good card to actually come up. And then the last one is Marga. This is the path leading to the cessation of suffering. This is the next step on my own dharmic path. So the path leading to the cessation. So my path right now. Next step on my dharmic path. That's a whole heap. I've got about 20 cards for my next step on my dharmic path. You know what? 3 cards come up, and I think I'm going to have to go with it. So I'll relieve. What is it? Relieve? Not relieve. I will reveal them as they go. So the next step is the King of Pentacles. The next step on my karmic path, the King of Pentacles. It's an interesting card to come up, isn't it? Is that a dog? Yeah, you know what? You know what that dog looks like? It looks just like Oscar. The next step, you know, yeah. I'm trying to think. So this is the path leading to the cessation of suffering. Well, of course, I'd have to say, even though this is the next step on my own dharmic path, I just keep seeing the big grin in the dog, and it reminds me of Aaron, and Oscar was always with him. But he's been wanting another dog quite a lot lately, and I've been resisting it. I really don't want to go through losing another pet. I just can't bear the thought of it. But then I think maybe I'm being cruel, you know, sort of thing. But there's a lot to think of. But this is supposed to be the next step. Is this telling me that I should let another animal in my life to help with my healing? I don't know. I'm going to think about that. So the next one was the Emperor. And what was after the Emperor? The Seven of Cups. So, the King of Pentacles, the Emperor, and the Seven of Cups. The next step on my karmic path. Yeah, see if I can sort it out. That's interesting, hey? I don't really know how to take that. I have been... There is a couple of courses that I really wanted to do, but money's a little bit tight, as you can imagine. You know, it's a little bit tight with all the medications and stuff that I've had to take. So it's been a little bit tight, so I haven't been able to do what I want to do. There's a few courses that I would like to do. But I suppose the Emperor is telling me that I really don't know what to take from these cards. I do want to do some courses. The Emperor's telling me that we've got to take control of our finances. I can go back to, I don't want to go back to reading tarot professionally until I am well, until my radiotherapy is finished. I really don't want to do that, because I feel like for me to read somebody's cards, I have to be completely well within myself. So I won't be able to control my finances until, or even make a choice on what sort of course that I want to do, because there's a few that I want to do completely different, completely out of what I normally do, but I don't think I can make that choice until I am well, until I am completely strong, as the Strength card implies. So I think the path is to wait a little bit. Yeah, I don't know, Nat, if you're watching this, maybe you can put some insight on it. I'm not really sure, but that's the only thing I can think of, if this is the next step. I mean, if I hadn't picked all three cards, it just would have been the King of Pentacles saying that, that maybe we have to... I don't know. I'll probably have to sit with that, hey? But I'm thinking about the King of Pentacles, about the... God, it looks... I can't tell you how much that looks like Oscar. The same colour, everything. And he was always by Aaron. So he was always between us, actually. He was always with us, no matter what, If I'm filming like I am today, he'd be sitting on his bed behind me. He was always with us, wherever we are. But there are some courses I want to do, but I'll have to wait until I'm in control of myself, until I'm in control of my health, and then make the choice. And then when I can actually go back to reading the tarot professionally and earn some money again, then I can do it. But yeah, that's a hard one. Anyone's got any input on them three cards, particularly you, Nat, you might know, because I'm not really 100% sure. It does make me think maybe I've been a little bit cruel in just flat out no refusing Aaron to get another dog. it's just I really miss Oscar still, and I still miss my cat. May is the month that she's been gone for 6 years, and I had her for 22 years, and I really miss her. And I did go to a shelter, but every time I go to a shelter, I gravitate to black cats, and I know it's because I'm missing her, and I just can't bear the thought of having another animal and losing them again. Not to mention all the vet bills and that. Now, nearest vet is like an hour away to travel as well. Can you imagine, you know, how hard that was when Oscar was dying and I was holding him in my arms and he's fitting and he's... Jesus, I just don't want to go through that again, hey? I just don't think I can do it. But as to the cessation of my suffering, yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to leave it. I'm not really sure the next step on my path. I'm going to leave it at that. Until next time, this is Tracy.